Welcome to Rock Solid, the Round Rock Business Leaders Podcast. Join your host, Bryan Eisenberg, as he explores the journeys of entrepreneurs and companies across Round Rock, Texas. From startups and nonprofits to large organizations, each guest shares their passion for doing business in this thriving community. Let's dive in.
Hi, everybody, it's Bryan Eisenberg, and welcome to Rock Solid. This week is going to be a very interesting week. I am joined by State Representative Caroline Harris Davila. I know
you got it.
Yeah,
I know.
it's always a challenge.
Yes,
because I've actually had someone who had a very similar name, and so it always gets me. It throws me. Yep. And it's interesting because I have you here not as state representative, but as Caroline, because. As I've spoken to a bunch of people recently, being a podcast host, you get approached by a lot of people wanting to be on a podcast. And this is not a podcast about politics. It's a podcast about the community. Right. And I said, I'm happy to sit with a neighbor.
Yeah.
And absolutely. You are absolutely a neighbor. You always talk about being proud that you grew up here in Round Rock and serve Round Rock and all of that.
Yeah.
And to me, more than anything is I get to see you in the community. I've seen you at ribbon cuttings. I get to see you at events like the Women Who Mean Business last week. That to me is what stands out in anybody who wants to represent the community.
Yeah, right.
And I'm curious from your background, we'll go into you growing up here and stuff like that, but what was that moment where you felt that not only are you from here, but you need to represent what it means to be from here?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I definitely tell that story. I remember I was sitting in my former boss's office, and we were working on some policy and things like that. And I just remember kind of taking stock of what was going on in my own community and thinking, you know what, this is not... I don't see a very bright future in the way we're trending. And so I didn't think I was going to run for office. I was only 27 at the time. My only thought was I need to help. I need to get more involved. If I want to see a change, then I have to be willing to step up and get involved and just, do whatever I can to help. And so that's how I approached it. I started talking to people I knew around here. Can I hold signs for someone who's going to run, or what can I do? And we're blessed in a community, to live in a community, I should say, that just encourages people to go for it. I mean, I had people, when I talked to them, they said, well, why won't you do it? Why can't you do it? And I looked at them and said, there's no way, I cannot do that, and even my parents, I have amazing godly parents that just did such a good job of teaching me, that I could go for things like that. I remember coming home and telling them, hey, this is wild. People are asking me to run for office, and without skipping a beat, they're like, yep, you'd be great at that. You should just do it. And I was like, again, I'm only 27 years old, and, in my mind, it really wasn't possible. I was not good at public speaking. It freaked me out. I didn't have, the money or the connections or all the things you think you need to run for an office. And I had worked at the Capitol for 7 years, so I knew the policy side. I knew how to get those things
the inner workings
done,
and stuff,
but the campaign side, I had no idea. But it really was just thinking, okay, if I want to see a change in the community, I need to step up and do something. I can't complain about it or, try to get other people to do it. I need to put some stock in it. And I grew up here. So for me, it's just, I hold that our community with such passion to make sure that the people coming behind me have just as great or even greater of a childhood than I did. So,
what were the things that you grew up here that you will defend forever, that really matter to you more than anything?
Well, number one, I think we have just an amazing faith community here. My dad started a church here in Round Rock when I was young, and so I really got just a front row seat to that faith community because I don't know, some of your podcast listeners will know Mark Westerfield, pastor of Central Baptist Church. I used to go there, and he did a really good job of gathering all the pastors together and making sure that they were taking care of the community. And again, I saw that firsthand being a pastor's kid. We would go down the street from the church to the apartment complex, pick up a bunch of kids, bring them back to church, do vacation Bible school. We would go door to door during Christmas and sing carols to people. I mean, we were so involved in the community, but it wasn't just us. There were so many other people. And you see all these nonprofits in Round Rock too. I mean, there's just a heart here for people and helping people. And I serve with 149 other members in the House, and I can tell you our community is unique in that way. I mean, I grew up knowing that if I needed anything, I could go to any of our neighbors and they would help. And I think so many people here in Round Rock have that exact same experience, even now. Yeah. Even though we're growing, and that's what I tell people, I want to make sure we keep that neighbor helping neighbor community as we grow. You know, almost keeping a small town feel no matter how big we get.
Well, and it's funny. We've heard this theme multiple times throughout, and several things you've touched on. You know, the fact of how everybody here just works together in a very, very diverse community. Yeah, right. Which is again just a great cornerstone for what lots of communities around this country should aspire to look like and be like. But that cohesiveness of everybody working together. You know, I've heard it from Charlie Culpepper. I mean, just over and over again. What's that magic? Like, you know, because you're working with 143 people who don't always seem to work together, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What's that magic that you think that makes this community have that happen where others really struggle?
Well, two things. Number one, I really do think that the Lord has just blessed us. Okay. I mean, you know, you've interviewed a lot of these leaders. I don't know of any other community that has had the incredible leadership that Round Rock has over the span of so many years, you know, and the foresight they had to plan everything out, and we are all benefiting from that now, and we want that to continue. But the second thing is you have to have a common goal, you know, you really do. Everybody has to have that,
and
I want to help, you know, and it's not just wanting to help, it's stepping up to help. And that's really what it is everybody, you know, wants to lift everybody up. They want everybody to have a good life. Doesn't matter, you know, if you're brand new here or if you've lived here 20 years or, you know, 30 years. I think that's the common goal is we all want to be the best. And we want to make sure that everyone in our community has a chance to be the best they can be. And when you have a common goal like that, everything really fits together so much better, you know. But I think that's really kind of the pieces that we benefit from here.
If someone were to follow you around, we take one of these cameras and they follow you around, you know, for a week. Yeah. What would they see that would show you're more part of this community than the title?
Oh boy. They probably would need several naps along the way, or at least that's what I've been told. But, you know, it's interesting because in the Texas legislature, the way it's set up, we only get $600 a month. Okay. It's a part-time job.
So you're not getting rich off that. Yeah.
No, it's pretty much a volunteer position. And then we go to Austin every other year for 140 days. And those are like 60, 80-hour work weeks. That's when we pass all the new bills. And so it's a huge workload. But the year and a half we're not there, you know, most of my colleagues have a job where, you know, they're working a 9-to-5 job. And so their ability to be in the community, they just don't have as much time. For me, because our community is growing so fast, I have just made this my full-time job. So because there are so many things that I can help with, I've just thrown myself in completely. I work, you know, easily 40 hours a week, not just going to events, but also meeting with constituents. And, you know, I don't think people understand that, at least for me, if anybody wants to meet with me, I meet with them. You know, we sit down in my office in Round Rock or at the Capitol, and we just talk about whatever their issues are. We figure out solutions. And so I love telling people that because I don't think people think of their state representative as someone they can just, you know, have a meeting with and ask for help and things like that. So, it's a full-time job for me. May not be for most people, but I love it. Because it's all about helping people.
Yeah, and I'm sure people come in, you know, sometimes they're struggling with the unemployment things and all different kinds of. What's the range of the craziest thing that you've heard to the more common thing that people come in asking for support with?
Yes, absolutely. Most common thing would be getting a driver license appointment. Sometimes
that is just a struggle.
It is, and some people get like a 6-month appointment, and they don't know who to go to. So that's the one thing that I tell people all the time is, hey, listen, if you need a driver license appointment, you're having difficulty, come let me know. So that's probably the most common. And then, the most probably, wide-ranging. We had a family reach out that was having difficulty getting an autopsy of a loved one who had passed away. And we were able to help with that. We were able to streamline that. But, I mean, there really are situations like that, they're not the ones we see every day, but they're definitely important and emergency type situations like that. And I used to tell people, if you need help with the state agency or anything at the state level, let me know. Now I just tell people, if you need help, let me know, because one of the benefits of being in the community so much is now I know so many other people that might be able to help even if I can't. So, it is very wide-ranging. You just never know.
And I'm curious, you mentioned the nonprofits beforehand, because there are so many of the nonprofits here. How do you stay plugged in with so many of them? And how can they even approach you and say, maybe, hey, we want to help with this? I'll give you a perfect example. We work very closely with Will Williams, who's been a guest on the show.
Yes,
and we help support Will with getting the power wheelchairs and scooters and other medical equipment to veterans and people in the community who need it. So, you may not know that that's one of the things that he worries about. I worry about it because it's sitting all throughout my garage. In other rooms now that my daughter's no longer in the house. So I've got extra power wheelchairs and scooters in the house. How does a nonprofit come to you so they know if somebody comes, you can help tap into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one thing that I am passionate about is being approachable, and that's one reason why I do go to so many things, and I am at so many things, because I want it to be easy for people to find me. I don't want people to have to necessarily call me on the phone. If they can ask me in person, I would much prefer that. And so I actually keep tabs as much as I can, and my team helps with that, on what's going on, what events are going on, and if at all possible, we help sponsor, or sometimes I have a flag flown over the Capitol. They can use that as a silent auction item. And so I really just try to approach them as much as I can and offer to help. And then now, thankfully, I've gotten to know so many of them. Now it's just more of a relationship. So they'll let me know, this is coming up, can you help us here? But yeah, we definitely, on our own, we're very proactive looking for the ways that we can help. And a lot of that's, silent auction items, or maybe sponsoring something. Or one thing I love about this job is I get to connect people. Yeah. So sometimes I'll have someone who's passionate about an issue, and they don't know there's a nonprofit that's working on it or that can help them. And so I do that too. And I love to do that, just connecting people in the community that can help each other. So
that's where the magic happens.
Yes.
I don't think people appreciate how valuable that is when you can find those connectors in your life.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and I have so many amazing, wonderful connectors in my life too. So
one of the events that we were at together, it was one of the Chambers luncheons.
Yeah.
Aaron Dominguez, who shouted out his son on the show, brought his son up to you, and you talked to him briefly about being more civic-minded, especially, he's 18 years old as an entrepreneur. Right. Where does that passion to educate the young, especially today, to understand what kind of power they actually have?
Right. Well, I don't mean to keep going back to my parents, but they really did, teach me the importance of being involved civically, voting, those things. And, when I first ran for office, it really did feel like jumping off a cliff. Yep. And then once I got elected, I just remember thinking, so many more people, so many more young people can be more involved than they think they can. Because I was just thinking of my own thoughts, like, I'm only 27. How can I do this? But it really is possible to make a big difference. And especially the way the world is now with social media and so many avenues of communication. Yeah. as young people, we do have more avenues for influence, and especially getting involved. I tell people, I go knock on doors, of course, when I run for election, and I love to bring young people with me to do that, just so they can understand. When I knock on a door, I ask people, what's your top concern? And we have a conversation. And I love it because it's just, you're getting to know the heart of your community.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me. I'm an extrovert, but I just want people to understand they can do things like that too, that may be outside of their comfort zone. And even voting, it's one of the most sacred rights that we have as Americans, to be involved and to have a voice in what's happening. And that's, especially at the local level, there are a lot of local races that are won or lost over a handful of votes.
And it has a bigger impact on your day-to-day life than most of the national stuff.
Exactly. Your school board, your city council, all sorts of things. And I also want young people to realize, if a young person comes up to me and asks me if they can help me, man, I put them to work right away. There's opportunity. That's what I want young people to know, is there's so much opportunity for them to get more involved. And I also work with a group that recruits young people to run for office all across the country.
Oh, awesome.
For these local races, up to state races. And again, it's just letting them know you can do this, and it's not just that you can. There are people that are more than willing to help you.
What are some of the biggest issues you're hearing from young people, going into today's world, especially, job market's changing? I know, you've talked about your staff's use of AI.
Yes.
What's the big concerns that you're hearing from them?
I think one of the big concerns is just, what kind of life am I going to have, once I graduate from college?
Okay.
And even going back from that, in high school, you have kids who are trying to figure out, am I going to do the traditional route, or am I going to go to trade school? What does that look like?
Yep.
And in Texas, we have done a lot of work to open up, especially the trade and workforce side of things. One of my brothers is a welder, got his welding degree from TSTC in Hutto. And loves his job, loves being a welder. And so we've opened up a lot of those avenues. But then, on that side, there's a lot of job opportunity. But I have friends whose kids have graduated from college in very high-level degrees that are still trying to find work. And so that's something I hope we can look at next session is, okay, we've got American talent, these great young people. We need to make sure that there are job opportunities available for them, especially in our community.
Yeah.
I don't want them to leave if they don't have to. I'd love to keep that talent here. And that's another reason why I'm so grateful for the business community we have in Round Rock, because the more businesses we add, the more that opportunity does increase for those young people. And then housing affordability, of course, is something that we talk about. How can young people, again, afford and build that life that they want? A lot of people, of course, want to live here, but it is getting more expensive to live here, at least for sure than when I was growing up here. And so it's just, how can you make that American dream more accessible to these young people, and especially the ones that want to work hard? We just have incredible young people here that are doing some pretty cool things. So,
talking about growing up, you grew up in a very big household.
I did. Yes, I did.
11 siblings?
Yeah, so 10 siblings, 11 kids in all.
11 kids in all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is a small city. But it probably got you used to dealing with all the politicians.
This is true. Yeah.
What role did you naturally fit into in that structure of your family that even helps guide who you are today?
Yes. Well, that's funny. I'm the middle child.
Ooh,
so
okay.
when I was first running for office, my joke was I had to run for office just to get attention. So that was my joke while I was running. But being the middle child, I tell people that I'm probably one of the most laid back people that you will ever meet. I am very much go with the flow, not a lot bothers me. And my parents are very driven people. So my siblings and I are the same way, very driven people. Mm-hmm. And I love my family. They're amazing. My parents did a great job of keeping us together and having family nights and things like that. And We're actually having a big birthday party tomorrow because we do a monthly birthday party for all the birthdays.
There's got to be somebody in the family with a birthday pretty much every month when it's that large.
It's true. But I just have an amazing family. My grandparents, my dad's parents are still living. They live right next door to my parents. They're
awesome.
90 and 95.
God bless.
And they're just amazing people. And I'm very blessed with an amazing legacy. I just, both sides of my grandparents were just amazing people, loved the Lord, and were so involved in our lives growing up, and still are, of course, with my grandparents.
Now, I've heard your grandmother was a teacher.
Yes.
And obviously, I'm hearing that you've got that skill in you naturally.
Yeah.
If you were to leave here and go to downtown Round Rock and had to give a lesson on something, what would it be?
Yeah. Oh, boy. That's a really good question. Oh, man. Maybe problem solving and just working with people and how to work with people. I think especially in today's atmosphere, people look at politics and they're like, how do they get anything done? But in the house, a lot of people are surprised to learn that over 95% of what we work on is bipartisan. And so a lot of it is just building those good relationships with people. And I think it's a little more difficult with social media and things like that. I think we're losing some of those people skills that
and
just
the AI fakes that come out that makes things even worse.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So just, I think passing on, good information and good skills that I was taught that have benefited me in my role now, just to these young people who may not have had that opportunity or may not have spent time, around people, developing those people skills as much as, maybe 10 years ago or so.
Now, you're also one of the youngest representatives out there, I think throughout the country, correct?
Yeah,
or one of the, for sure.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? I mean, you were a middle child, and now you're one of the youngest.
Yes.
How do you make sure that you get to stand your ground and people see you for who you are, not for your age?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of that comes from my identity in the Lord, and I just go back to that so much because I know who the Lord created me to be, and that gives me really just the peace and the confidence to walk forward and solve problems and not worry about what people say or think of me, you know? And I really think as young people, one of our superpowers is hard work and being able to work hard and having the energy and having the time, And so I decided that was going to be what I wanted people to respect me for, was working hard. And that's how my parents raised me, so it's just already in me. But especially when it comes to campaigning and serving, I want to give it my all because I know that the Lord put me here for a purpose, and I don't want to waste any time. I want to make sure that I'm making the biggest difference I can while I can. But that's really what I tell a lot of young people is hard work is what people will respect you for, no matter your age or background or anything like that. I mean, it's just universally respected. And so that's kind of what I look at as, what I want people to respect me for.
Well, you mentioned the word confidence. I think that definitely defines you. If I see you anywhere, there's no question you can see the confidence when you walk into a room and you're talking to people. And I think that's something a lot of people are struggling with today. Yeah. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world. If you could leave them with a piece of advice on how to step forward with more confidence daily, how would you share, that bit of confidence with others?
Yes, absolutely. Two things. One, it really is my relationship with the Lord that gives me that confidence, because my goal is just to be a piece of what the Lord is doing in someone else's life. I want people to be loved well through me because I want them to know how much the Lord loves them. Okay. Because they're uniquely created in His image. Every single human on this earth has a specific purpose that the Lord set out for them, that He built them to accomplish. And I want to infuse people with that confidence and that love that I know he's not only given me, but given everybody I'm around. So that's number one. And then number two, every day we are making an impact on people, whether you know it or not. When you smile at someone, the cashier, it doesn't matter who, that can change their life, because you and I have both heard the stories of people who, were in a dark place, were thinking, should I end my life? Things like that, and they may pray or they may think, if someone would just acknowledge me today or
help
smile
them feel
at me
seen.
today. Yes, help me feel seen, and it really can be as small as a smile or asking how someone is. And so that's one practical thing you can do every day, is just looking out for one other person, stranger, someone checking in on someone, but even as simple as just a smile or a hug. You just don't know how big of an impact even that can have. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. In fact, it's something I wrote about this morning on social media.
Really?
I said, right now as we're recording is the mid-morning mixer.
Oh, gotcha.
And I was reading this morning, this past week, an article that found from a scientific point of view what it is that makes people who walk into rooms stand out and get all the attention, like in networking events. And it turned out, the story they went in with, the intention they went in with, to help other people be seen, warmth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And just to approach the world as bring your warmth to everything.
Right.
I just, from a science background, from a storytelling background, from just a humanity point of view, I was like, I love that, because I think we can all use a little more warmth in our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And that's another thing that makes this community so great, is I can list off, 15 people that come into a room like that at the events that we go to in Round Rock.
We can talk Bill, sitting here in the corner.
Exactly.
Example.
Yes.
Even if it's like both of us, we're both from the East Coast who made it down here,
right.
but still.
That's okay. My ancestors came over, helped settle Providence, Rhode Island, so you're in good company,
One final question.
Yes.
If lots of people probably have perception of you based on your public persona, and again, you've been in spotlight a significant part of your life now. What's the one thing about your story that's untold that would surprise them?
Oh, man. It's interesting, because when I tell people, the most surprising reaction I get is when I tell people how scared I was of public speaking and how bad I was at it. I mean, we've all heard, what is the phrase, some people are more scared of public speaking than death, right? That was me. And my first speech I ever gave when I was running for office, I almost threw up right after. I mean, I was just petrified. I was shaking. I
didn't have the confidence.
No,
yes.
Definitely not. No, I didn't. And it was just one of the things that I just had to take to the Lord and be like, okay, you know what? You called me to do this. And so how can I learn? How can I be better? And thankfully in politics, you have a lot of practice with public speaking. So now I've gotten to the point where I actually like it. But when I first started out, that really was one of the top reasons of why I didn't even want to run, because I just didn't think I would be able to communicate, and it just scared me. And when I talk about that, a lot of people are surprised, but I liked telling people about that, because I know I'm not the only one.
and we can all grow.
Exactly. And that is the other thing, is I never thought I would get to the point where I actually enjoyed it, but now I do. I really enjoy it, and it is just storytelling. It's just talking about whether it's your life or even policy. My old boss was so good at taking policy and turning it into stories and making it just not entertaining, but just relatable. And so I had the benefit from learning from him how to do that. And so, I'm still learning, still growing in that area, but I really am to the point where I like it now.
Judge Gravel said the same thing. He said he just needs the stories. It's
like,
because the policies, the regulations, they don't mean anything until you can connect them back to the stories.
To a real person.
Well, I've enjoyed your warmth today and everything you've contributed. If people have more questions, they want to connect with you, what's the best way, obviously, besides seeing you in the community?
Yes, absolutely. Call my office. If you Google my name, the office number will pop up right away. So I've got, again, the Round Rock office. I've got the Capitol office. Also, if anybody wants to tour the Capitol, I can set up a tour for them. So I want everybody to know that. And you can email me at Caroline Harris Davila at house.texas.gov to set any of that up. I know, it's pretty long. We'll have to post it on social media or something. But and so anyway, you can talk to Catherine too if you see her somewhere, anyone on my team. But again, I love meeting with people and I love going to events too. So again, anything that people want me to attend, just let us know.
We appreciate you so much.
Yeah, thank you. This has been really enjoyable.